Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I did mention that this is going to be a Zelda week, so it is a Zelda week. Today I'm going to talk about a little bit about the Zelda series as a whole and some of my thoughts about that. And um, and yeah, first off, I want to start off by apologizing. I don't have Twitch up still yet. They're really being a pain in the behind about how they're handling this whole entire situation. They're not even they're telling me that my account isn't valid, that they can't link it up with my credentials, which doesn't make any sense because I only have the one email address. I only have the one IP address because I haven't had any changes to my network since I last used Twitch, and for some reason they're telling me that they can't verify my account, and they're not giving any reasons. They're not even trying to help the situation. They're just like, we can't verify the account. That's it. They're not even trying to communicate, so it's real pain in the butt. So please bear with me. I will have streaming up as soon as I'm able. If it really boils down to it and I have to lose all my old content, I will create a new account, but I'm still going to try to get my old one back. So, Zelda. So it's interesting because I know a lot of people don't like Zelda, and I know a lot of people love it. I'm in the camp of loving it. I know it can be a little bit repetitious overall as a series. I mean, but it is a series. They need to retain some element of identity, so it's going to be similar to other games. That's understandable. But the biggest thing I like about it, and this is something I found very interesting when I was playing, restarted the series recently. Recently, I beat Ocarina of Time, Four Swords, Minish Cap, Skyward Sword, and now I'm on Wind Waker. Um, and as I'm playing through each game, then I'm reading through that section in the Hyrule Historia to make all the connections between all the games, which is kind of fun and interesting. But the thing that I notice as I'm playing through them is the 2D games don't really have a sense of identity. They all essentially play the same. They have some kind of a gimmick thrown in. Don't get me wrong, some of them are fun gimmicks, like I love Minish Cap. It's my favorite out of the 2D Zeldas. But they're all very similar. They all work very similar in the way they function and the progression and everything, and that's why I've noticed I don't know a lot of people that tend to like the 2D Zeldas more than 3D. I know there's some people that love A Link to the Past specifically as their favorite, but overall, I mean, I feel like people who like the 2D ones are looking more for nostalgia than they are looking for a cool new game. But that's beside the point. The point is that I feel like the actual evolution of the series is displayed through their 3D model. It would start with The Link to the Past. I know it's not a 3D game, but it really was the start of this evolution, and then go into Ocarina of Time and then each 3D adventure from there on out. Interestingly, and I thought that was really cool, actually, if you really look back on it. I mean, look at it. You have A Link to the Past, which really revolutionized the dungeon mechanics and the puzzle solving and the scope of the game, which was really cool. And then you jump into Ocarina of Time, which was, yeah, it was a little bit more constrained. It was smaller overall as a game, it felt, in comparison, going from 2D to 3D. Obviously, as if it was a 2D game, it would probably about be as big as A Link to the Past. But in a 3D game, that's not very big. So it was a little bit smaller, but what it did was, which is the most obvious thing, is it brought Zelda to 3D. It successfully showed how you could play a Zelda game in 3D, keep all of the core mechanics of what makes a series, and make it fun and fresh and new. And that was really, really impressive. Those of you who know me know that Ocarina of Time is one of my favorite games in the series. I do enjoy it, I do like it, but it's not my favorite. I still feel like it's a little bit overrated, or it gets a little more attention than it deserves, for the reasons that they give the attention. For revolutionizing 3D adventure games, there's no doubt about it. It is very important for gaming. But as a Zelda game as a whole, comparing it to the series as a whole as it stands right now, it's not one of the best entries in the series. There's a lot of things that are lacking about it, which you'll see in my review, and surprisingly, you'll probably be surprised with the score I give the game, actually. But that's for then. So you get the Ocarina of Time that really turned it into a 3D environment. And then you have Wind Waker, which takes it even a step further. Okay, we can do 3D. It works. The dungeon system, everything, it works. So what can we do next? Let's enhance the weapons. Okay, that's just a minor improvement. Cool. But let's add exploration into the mix. Some people loved this. Some people hated this. I personally loved it. Having the sea and the open environment, and then the like islands everywhere. Every single part of the world map has one island for you to explore. So it really is essentially a little bit bigger, realistically, size-wise, than Ocarina of Time, and of course definitely Majora's Mask. But as a result, it felt more lively, even though it's more barren, which I thought was kind of interesting. And that was something I really appreciated. So in that evolution, they kind of took the exploration aspect to a whole new level, with kind of really rewarding you for exploring. And I didn't really get that feeling in Ocarina of Time. I don't really feel like I was rewarded for exploring quite the same way because everything was so cramped. But in Wind Waker, you feel like, okay, oh, I found this island, that's cool. Maybe I didn't talk to the fish in order to get the sea chart, so I figured this out on my own. That's great. Oh, I'm on my way to the next dungeon. Oh man, there's this island on the way that was really cool. Let's check it out. And kind of do a little bit side quest. That was cool. I really liked how they did that. And that was an evolution in the sense of the next game. So what did they do with Twilight Princess? I feel like they tried to do the evolution of the exploration, try to take that evolution that they did in Wind Waker and then turn it into the Ocarina of Time setting where you have a more focused environment. It's a land continent. I think they succeeded and failed at the same time. It did feel way more satisfying to explore than the Ocarina of Time. I won't deny that. But at the same time, it still didn't feel big enough. It felt like there was a lot of openness, which is good too. And some people like that. That's cool. For me, I didn't like that openness without much there. But there was some really cool exploration, and then I won't deny that. But what they really evolved was a storytelling aspect. Now what they did was they took the storytelling a step forward, and I felt like the storytelling was done really well, actually, in Twilight Princess. That was a really big plus. Whatever other complaints I have about the game, the storytelling was a really big improvement for the series, and that was the evolution in that one. So then what do you get? You get Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword has a great story that's already been evolved in the series. It has they went back to the same type of exploration with the Wind Waker, which is cool. Although I felt like it was a little bit more sparse than Wind Waker, which is too bad, but it actually isn't more sparse. It's just the way it's presented because you have this air in the ground. It's actually bigger overall, but like I said, the way it's presented, it feels more sparse. But point is that wasn't really evolution. That was just going back to what they've already done. Obviously 3D works, that's all good. What they did was a combat. That was a big plus. I really like the fact that they actually, and I know a lot of people don't like this, I feel like the people who don't like it are people who don't have the proper setup environment to play the game, because everybody I know who didn't have control problems loves the game. Everybody who I know did, hates it. Those are the two camps. Like it's my favorite game in the series. There's no, hands down, I love Skyward Sword. Had zero problems with the controls. I thought it was brilliant. But yeah, so I actually, that was it. The controls. It's unfortunate that it happened at the end of the Wii's life, but it showed that you can do thoughtful, thought-provoking, deep gameplay in a hardcore environment for hardcore gaming, I mean, with motion controls. You could actually do it, and they did. They did it. It was very successful. It was very well done. It was really, really fun. Don't get me wrong, Metroid Prime 3 also was actually a good example of that. That was earlier in the life. But, I mean, there weren't that many overall. That was the one game I felt like that really took advantage of motion as a whole. Like, it used everything that you could do with the nunchuck and the remote. That was cool. And it was accurate if you had the right setup. I know, like I said, some people didn't have the setup, it didn't work. So, that was Evolution. Combat. So, I mean, then what's next? I'm kind of curious, what do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen in the next one? I know they have open world exploration. That could be considered an evolution, but I feel like that's not what they have up their sleeve. Because that's really just taking the exploration another step. They already kind of did that with Wind Waker and A Link Between Worlds. I feel like they're probably just going to combine those two concepts together into what's in this new one. But what is it going to be? It's a very curious thing, and I'm curious what you guys think is going to be the next thing in the next Zelda on the Wii U, on what their next evolution is going to be, the next big evolution. Personally, I'm actually kind of disappointed they're not going back to motion controls because I felt like I don't enjoy playing the Zelda series with the controller anymore because of Skyward Sword. I thought it was perfect and very intuitive, and when I go back to like Wind Waker and stuff, like I feel limited. I don't feel as immersed, but to each their own. I'm sure it'll still be a fantastic game, and I still love Wind Waker, Ocarina, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess. They're all great. Oh, and I didn't mention Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask, I feel that's more of an offshoot. I didn't really feel like it really evolved anything. It kind of perfected what Ocarina of Time did, and then kind of brought in the 2D elements into 3D more. It's like the way I refer to Mario Galaxy versus Mario 64. Super Mario 60, they're both beautiful games, by the way. Super Mario Galaxy 2 specifically. Super Mario 64, I refer to it as a 3D adventure game that happens to have Mario elements in it. Super Mario Galaxy 2, I refer to it as a Mario game that happens to be a 3D adventure game. If that makes any sense. Like, there's more focus on Mario in one, there's more focus on the 3D adventure in one. They both do what they do great, but they have different focuses. That's kind of what I feel like Majora's Mask was. It's a Zelda game that happens to be in 3D, whereas Ocarina of Time was a 3D adventure game that happens to be a Zelda game. That's the way I looked at it. So in that sense, that's why I didn't feel like Majora's Mask was a very big evolution. It is one of my favorite games in the series, but if you disagree with me, let me know what you think about how that one was presented an evolution to the series. And that's for today. Look forward to my review in a couple of days on Ocarina of Time. Like I said, for those of you who know my opinions about Ocarina of Time, I think you might be surprised about what I have to say about it. And that's that. Thank you for watching, guys, and hopefully I get my Twitch back up soon. Darn you, Twitch. Thanks again. Take care, guys.